2 American hostages being held in the Gaza Strip. Reports in Israeli media say that a mother and daughter have been handed over to the Red Cross. We are still waiting for official confirmation, and the pair have not yet been identified. Well, let's get the latest from our foreign affairs correspondent, Sikander Kamani in Tel Aviv, and our Washington correspondent, Siobhan Kennedy. But first to you, Sikander.
Well, Matt, Hamas and Israeli officials are saying that an American mother and daughter who were held hostage have been released after being taken to the Gaza Strip by Hamas. Hamas have said that it was done following Qatari mediation. Now, they're already said to have been handed over to the Red Cross and are being taken to Egypt and then to Israel. Israeli forces say a total of 203 people have been confirmed as having been seized as hostages by Hamas. Hamas have said that the figure is somewhat higher than that. So this is just a small proportion of those being held. But of course, it's a massive deal for the family of those who are being released. And it's a first sign that diplomatic efforts are achieving something. Israeli media here is saying that the release of these hostages was done unilaterally. In other words, it wasn't done in exchange for a release of Palestinian prisoners. That's something that Hamas has talked about in the past, though they've also talked about being willing to release some foreign nationals. Israeli state media also saying, citing unnamed sources, that they believe that this release of hostages is an attempt by Hamas to delay an imminent expected ground offensive by Israeli forces into the Gaza Strip. A number of other foreign nationals are being held by Hamas, including Brits and Americans. Some of them will be dual nationals. There are many other Israeli hostages, including very elderly people, very young babies being held. All of their families are desperate for information, and all of them, I think, will treat this news as giving them a glimmer of hope in a dire situation.
Indeed they will. Sikander in Tel Aviv, thanks very much. Let's go straight to Siobhan Kennedy in Washington. Siobhan, this must come as very welcome relief to the Americans. What are they saying about this?
Well, just a quick reminder, Matt, that when Joe Biden spoke to the nation last night, he reminded them that he was pursuing, he said, every avenue to bring their loved ones home. As president, he told them there is no higher priority for me than the safety of Americans held hostage. So the news that 2 Americans have been freed, I have to say, will be extremely welcome news here. It is running across all the networks, as you can imagine. I should say that we have had no confirmation yet from the State Department or the White House. There is a briefing from the State Department in about an hour's time. But we do know, Matt, that among the 20 or so Americans that we know are still unaccounted for, that there is a mother and daughter by the name of Judith and Natalie Raanan, who are from the suburbs of Chicago and who are believed to be among those held hostage. Their family have told us that they do believe that they were taken 2 weeks ago. They had traveled to Israel to celebrate a relative's 85th birthday and to celebrate the Jewish holiday season, and they had been sending updates, photographs to their families, to Natalie's brother that was left behind here. He lives in Denver in Colorado, but then suddenly their messages, those photos stopped, and it coincided with those attacks on the morning of October the 7th. Well, earlier I spoke to the family's rabbi in Chicago, who is a close friend of the mother, Judith Hanan, and he told me that the family had heard the news today, that they were all together in a room and hoping and praying that it was indeed their loved ones, Judith and Natalie Hanan, who have been released. They have not as yet had that confirmation. They are waiting for that confirmation. But as I said, if they get that confirmation, this is very clearly amazing news for them, extremely welcome news, both for the family and for America and for the President Joe Biden.
Siobhan in Washington, thank you very much indeed. Well, along with the very real and violent war on the ground, there is also a fierce information war. Case in point, Tuesday's explosion at the Gaza hospital, which Hamas says killed hundreds of people. Israel says it was a misfired Islamic Jihad rocket, which they deny. Hamas says it was an Israeli airstrike, which they deny. But tonight, Forensic Architecture, Earshot and the Ramallah-based NGO Al-Haq have shared new information with Channel 4 News they say casts doubt on some aspects of Israel's account. Here's our chief correspondent, Alex Thompson.
It derailed Joe Biden's Middle East visit. It started a raging global debate. The explosion at the hospital in Gaza City on Tuesday night and its bloody aftermath. Tonight, audio and photographic analysis sheds new light on what happened. First, the audio analysis. This comes from a consortium of prominent NGOs specializing in human rights investigations. Earshot investigators have analysed two aspects of the blast which killed so many at the Christian hospital. First, Doppler effect sound analysis of the missile tracking to the hospital that night.
It's the compression of sound waves as a moving object is accelerating towards you, and that object is emitting sound, and then as it's moving away, that frequency decreases, that pitch decreases.
That analysis produced this mapping. The red line is where the Israelis said the missile was fired from by, they say, Islamic Jihad from within southwestern Gaza. But this new Doppler sound mapping analysis concludes that the missile came from a variety of possible firing points, the blue arrows, all east of the hospital, not west, as the IDF claimed. That map arose from this Doppler mapping of the audio of the missile flying to impact at the hospital. And that sound recorded by a geolocated eyewitness 150 meters southeast of the hospital. The second aspect examined is the tape released by the Israeli Defense Forces. The IDF says it is two Hamas operatives discussing how an Islamic Jihad missile fired from in Gaza malfunctioned, causing the hospital explosion. 2 nights ago, we reported that Arab-speaking experts raised questions about the tone and language of this tape. The forensic sound analysis states, quote, "This recording is made up of 2 separate channels and demonstrates that these 2 voices have been recorded independently. These 2 independent recordings have then been edited together in a digital audio workstation, such as Pro Tools, Logic, Audition, have added effects, such as pan control, and recomposed." That being their analysis, what do they then conclude? Though this audio analysis cannot categorically state that the audible dialogue is fake, we can say that the level of manipulation required to edit these 2 voices together disqualifies it as a source of credible evidence. Earshot's opinion is that this recording does not meet the standard required for evidence and should not be used by the media without the clear caveat that it has been digitally manipulated. We turn now to the image analysis carried out by Forensic Architecture at London University. They've conducted 3D resolution of the impact strike crater and shrapnel splash marks in the hospital car park. Those radial fragmentation marks open towards the southwest, with a shallow channel